Hi, how's everyone? Today we will speak about the difference between teaching, learning, and acquisition in our, course of teaching English. What is teaching? We have three terms to discuss today. The first thing is teaching. Everybody may have a definition in his or her mind about teaching English, what is the meaning of teaching, or in general, or teaching a language such as English? Maybe they say it is a process when somebody comes to some classroom and give information to those who sit there and receive the knowledge from him or her. This is one type of teaching. Actually, teaching is the process in which students or learners in general are prepared for learning by providing initial structures to clarify planned outcomes and indicate derived learning strategies. Okay, what do we get from this? We get that the teaching is a process that leads to learning. So when we teach somebody, it means that we help that somebody, that person, we help him or her to learn some information. So it's not giving them information, it's about helping them to learn information. Okay? This is the teaching. I'm discussing this because this is somehow a controversial issue. The old school says that teaching is giving information, and the new school says no, this is wrong. Such teachers, as an example, do not give teaching. In teaching, they do not only give information, they help the students or the learners in general grasp or get the information by themselves. And sometimes it's not related just about the information. It might be to help them get some skills. Speaking is skill, writing is a skill, reading is a skill. So we are not all the time giving them information. Sometimes we help them to get the information, and some other times we help them to, to get or acquire maybe strategies that help them to learn, or sometimes they might get skills that help them in their lives or in their careers. Okay, so what is learning? We said that we help them to learn as a teacher, and you maybe may become the teachers in the future. You may need to make them. We say, I will help you get the learning, make the learning process. Okay, what is the learning process? The learning is defined as a relatively permanent change in behavior due to experience. How can this be just like that? Okay, if I want to teach you language, this means what? This means that I will teach you how to, learn the language, how to get the language, how to make how to I will facilitate your learning process. What is the learning? From your side, you will try to change your behaviors. You know, speaking is a behavior, listening is a behavior, it's a kind of behavior, reading, writing, and speaking in another language is such a behavior. So, if we want to speak another language, we are trying to acquire or to get a behavior, a change in our behavior. So this is what is meant by, and this change should be relatively permanent. No, it's not instant, it's permanent. If you try to learn a language, say English, Japanese, or any language, this language will stay for the next years of your life, of course. It's relatively permanent. This is why it's relatively permanent. If you get a piece of information, you might forget them, but even when you forget them, they will be still somewhere in your brain. Okay, so Mr. Muhammad says that we will be teachers, okay? We are going to help our learners or our students to learn. We will give them strategies to learn. We will help them to learn. And what's next? Is that? So we are teachers of English. We are teaching them to learn English. So they are trying to learn English. So, is there another thing to know? Yes, we have to know something else called acquisition, acquiring the language. To acquire is to get something by accident, not intentionally, unintentionally, somehow unintentionally. You go to the gym, say you go to the gym and you run every day, you may acquire the ability of being an athlete. This is acquisition. It comes by accident. It's acquisition. It's not intended. And maybe when you go to run every day in the morning, you think that it is good for your health, and after that, you notice that your body is being well shaped, not just well healthier, but it is well shaped. This process comes by accident. You do not intend to do it. Okay, let's change it to language. We have to get the language, or before that. Remember when you were children, who taught you your mother tongue language? You know mother tongue language? Mother tongue language, it is your original language, your first language. Who learned you that? Who taught you that? It's not nobody can say that he or she taught you your language. You acquired the language. This is the acquisition. Okay, so it is the process by which humans get the capacity to perceive and comprehend a language. Perceive and comprehend a language. So when we learn our first language, we acquire it, not learn it, because this is unintentional. So this is something that happens by chance. We were children, we didn't have the choice, we didn't choose to learn Arabic, English, Japanese, or any language, but rather we've just get it. We just get it accidentally because we are exposed to a situation, multi situations, many situations, maybe hundreds, thousands of situations that make us acquire that language. Actually, said that the human baby, human child, acquires language or starts acquiring language, starts listening to the language before his or her birth, before its birth. So we start listening to the language of the surroundings from the before we get out to the life when we are in still in our mothers, when we are infants. So after that, after about a year, we get the ability to produce the language, the first language, and then first attempts to speak the language. And after that, we day after day develop this language to become our, language, our mother tongue language, our first language. So, okay, what is the difference between learning and acquisition? We might be, somehow you might say, I'm confused. We learn the first, second language and we acquire the first language. Why do you say acquire and learn? Okay, acquisition is implicit, something that happens inside our minds. Learning is explicit, something that happens outside our minds. We go to a place, we are sorry, we impose ourselves to a situation, and we get the language. Acquisition is subconscious, something that you do not decide to do or you do not intend to do. The children do not intend to learn the language they learn, but it happens by the way. While learning is conscious. Okay, acquisition is informal situation. Informal situation. What do you mean about that? Do you mean that it is an informal language? No, we're not speaking about informal language. We're speaking about something else. That is the situation which is informal. It means that the situation, informal situations means what? Means that our the situations we are in are natural. We are still babies and we listen to our mothers speaking to us and we learn words like eat, yummy, and the like, But in learning, we go to we pretend or we go to we make a situation. We ourselves make this situation. You stand here and you stand here. Pretend that you are two people who are discussing something, blah, 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 and you make the dialogue in order to acquire the language. This situation is not a real situation, it's a fake situation. Okay, this is the second difference. The third difference is that acquisitions uses grammatical fields, while learning uses grammatical rules. What does this mean? It means that when we learned our first language, we didn't think about the grammar of that language, yet we just used to correct ourselves after hearing the correct language. When I say I are, and mommy says no, I am, then I will correct myself just by feeling that what I'm speaking about is wrong. While in learning, we deal with the grammatical rules. Okay, acquisition depends on attitude. This means the sorry, language is about the attitude. It's about situation. When you get, the more you get situations, the more you consider the situations, the more you get or gain the language. While learning depends on attitude. Attitude means what? Means what? The efficiency, the efficiency that we have. So in acquisition, we all learn, but in more situations. But in learning, those who have better efficiency, they are more efficient, they get the language better. This is it. Okay. The fifth difference is that acquisition is a stable order. It's a stable order of acquisition, which means that there is no grading of the language. It's all about situations. We listen to the language, we acquire the language, we comprehend the meaning, we get grasp the meaning from the situations, and then we produce our own language and then develop our language. While in learning, we try to learn from simple to complex order of learning. That means from the very beginning, a book, this is a book. Okay, after that, we may produce simple sentences that use, just a little number of words. After that, we try to learn complex sentences. So it doesn't depend on the situation, it depends on the strategies taken in teaching us the language. This is the difference. Okay, but you may say, but why do we need to learn about acquisition? We are teachers, we will teach our students how to learn the language. Why do we need to learn about acquisition? Okay, you know that your first language is much more better than your second language. You study for now maybe about 12 years. You spent 12 to 13, 14 years, I don't know, of English. You studied English for 13, 14 years, but you're still not enough, sufficient in producing the language. While you study your mother tongue, your first language, where you needed just about 2 to 3 years to produce a very good language. Maybe you're at the age of 6, you speak very well language. What is the difference? The difference is that you acquired the first language, and in the second case, you just learned the second language. The acquisition is more efficient, is better than learning. So, as teachers, we always try to make our students acquire the language. Okay, how can we do this? How can we do this? We've said before that the first language is acquired, the second language might be learned. Okay, why might be learned? Because we can also acquire the second language. We can imitate just the same process of acquiring the first language and acquire a second language. Imagine that you go to Japan, you are not Japanese, and you go to Japan for the first time, you might speak English and to with some people, and there is a situation that you go to a village in Japan that they do not speak English and they do not speak your native language. What can you do? Okay, the situation is that you will get start acquiring the language. And day after day, guess what? Your Japanese will be better than that Japanese you may learn at schools. Why? Because this comes in real situations of life, in innate, something from your brain. You have real need to communicate with others, and comes just naturally. And this is why you get your second language, or maybe the third language, which is Japanese, very easier and better than speaking or learning the second language. This is why we try to do what? We try to make an atmosphere, make a situation that create the situation of learning that is very close to acquisition. How can we do that? Okay, there are many ways. One of them is uh, just communicative, what we call communicative learning or communicative approach or approaches. Sometimes they are called the communicative approaches or approach use this strategy. They impose you to real life situations. They make an atmosphere to make you acquire that language, and you get the language just like, not exactly just like, but somehow just like your first language. This is all about our lesson today. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much indeed, and goodbye.